What's up, folks? It is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm coming at you once again from the X-Lair to provide you my very insightful thoughts on the latest episode of The Gifted. This was The Gifted. I believe it was episode 8. Probably the best episode so far as like revelations and kind of broadening the scope of the story that's being told and providing some really strong connections to X-Men canon, which is what I was wanting more from the show. I really wanted every aspect of the show to be entrenched in what we already know in a different way, obviously, like to recontextualize things, to kind of, move some important pieces around, but nonetheless still be rooted very heavily in what's familiar. And this episode did that. It really made the central characters connected to things that we are already familiar with, which is Fenris. First of all, like just the mention of Strucker as a name was always of interest to me because obviously Baron von Strucker is a big villain in the Marvel universe, and so given that they were using that name, it always kind of felt weird to me. Like, why are they using this very familiar name in an unfamiliar way? Why didn't they just simply use some other name, to kind of tell the story of this family and these children? Well, the reason for it is because they are actually fucking related to Baron von Strucker. So Fenris are children of Baron von Strucker. Obviously, they're not going to make that link in the show because Baron von Strucker is an Avengers villain, and I'm sure that Fox does not own them. But nonetheless, I believe. See, it's not yet clear like what the rights are for Fox, the network, to use characters from the Marvel universe. So maybe it will be connected to Baron von Strucker. Maybe there is some greater agreement at play here that we are not even familiar with in terms of like, the ins and outs, which we don't need to be because whatever, that's business shit. But maybe that it has been going on behind the scenes, and that means that in the present, in what can happen in this show, the boundaries are even beyond what we can imagine, which is really exciting. So anyway, really love this episode. The beginning was obviously this flashback to, I think it was like 1950 something. And the thing was that there were articles written about the mutants. So the Fenris, I think Andrea and I forget the guy's name, but they obviously are featured in the beginning. They're in Germany and they're looking through articles that talk about mutants. If indeed this universe is linked to the universe of the X-Men films, then that is somewhat not consistent with what we've seen, because based on what we've seen, it was the human missile crisis that occurred in X-Men First Class, which was sort of the first event that kind of gave awareness to the fact that there are mutants in the world and they exist everywhere. And so the mention of there being like a bunch of articles written about mutants tells me that maybe this doesn't fall in line with the film universe, even though it's supposed to, I believe. I don't know. It's still unclear. I hope eventually it will all get cleared up. But the way it seems now is that we are in a different universe, which is fine. But again, I would love things to be connected. Nonetheless, we go back to the beginning. We see these twins, and obviously there's a link, some sort of parallel with the kids, but we're not sure exactly what it is. Then, all the various storylines that we've been sort of tracking are kind of continued on in the show. You've got the stuff going on with Dreamer and Blink. You've got the stuff going on with Eclipse and Polaris. That stuff is character drama. It's cool, but it's not like the most engaging thing. The most engaging thing is anything having to do with mutants in general. And so the fact that like the Strucker father, suggested that they go talk to his father, who apparently worked for Trask Industries for 30 plus years, who he had not had any contact with in several years, was of interest and sort of could have been another kind of dead end where, we just need the father to kind of do something. And this episode, and so maybe we'll get a nugget of information about Trask Industries there. Maybe we won't. Who knows? it didn't seem like it was going to be like a really exciting plot thread, but then it became super exciting. It became awesome. It became everything that I wanted from the show, which was to really link these children to something that's really tangible, um, with respect to the X-Men canon, you know? And the fact that, like, first of all, a couple of things, like, the father was revealed to be a mutant, perhaps? I don't know. Well, because he was given some sort of serum, and it supposedly cured his X gene, but did it? Like, can you cure the X gene with some weird serum? So therefore, the father may have some latent abilities that we have not seen yet, which is pretty exciting, because now the father is positioned to be himself a mutant. And so that is really exciting, and I'm excited by that. By the way, I've said exciting several times because I'm very fucking excited about this fact. Anyway, so yeah, so the father's father, the grandfather of the children, is also a mutant, and he is able to generate some sort of power. But he was killed, and that was unfortunate because I wanted more from that. You know, I wanted to see more from that, from him as a character, and see exactly who he is and what he can do. Obviously, that's the case with most mutants. But it was cool. You know, it was cool to kind of see the revelations and then have the father actually demonstrate a power, which was exciting. But the fact that, like, that led us into this grand revelation about the children and how they sort of parallel the powers of Fenris, and that they themselves may be ultimately a threat, was of interest, because the grandfather said protect them, but also protect the world from them. So that's intriguing. You know, it's sort of that whole, like, that constant storyline that we're always seeing, like the Star Wars film, like, will they or won't they turn to the dark side? So, like, that at play now is of interest. You know, like, are these children destined to become evil? You know, like, we'll see. Like, we don't know, but maybe. I don't know, but we know that they're super powerful independently and apparently together. They have yet to combine their powers into something of intrigue and ultimately spectacle and just everything I want from the show. So great. I can't wait to see where that leads. Anyway, I loved everything that went on with the family and the father and the revelations. Like, that really got me excited. This show just keeps heightening the excitement. It's like every episode we get further and further entrenched in this world, seeing more of the links with the things that, again, we want to see. And so, like, great job, folks. Like, great job on The Gifted. Like, you're surprising me a lot, and I'm happy about that. Really happy about that. If you've been following my reviews, like, at the beginning I was a little bit wary. You know, I didn't want to simply just, like, sign up, you know, even though I'm obviously a huge X-Men fan. By the way, I got to meet Stan Lee, and that's a picture of me and Stan Lee right there. And I'm wearing a Cyclops costume. Cyclops from the Uncanny X-Men run with Chris Bachalo and Michael Bendis. Anyway, that was a really exciting moment. But I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I, you know, it's like, this is an X-Men show, and I wanted it to be successful, but I was also cautious that maybe it wasn't going to be great, and therefore, like, it would be taken away from me. It would be canceled, and I would not get to enjoy it. But it's not looking like that. It's looking like things are going to work out. The more the episodes, again, kind of entrench us in this world, further kind of get us to places that we want to go as X fans, the more excited I get, the better the show gets. Obviously, this is all part of one big planned season, and so I have a lot of faith now in this show and the showrunners and everything they're doing and where they're potentially going to go. I'm not going to speculate on it because it's fun to kind of take the journey, but I hate speculation. I just want to kind of go and see where the show takes me. But nonetheless, like, it's taking me in the right directions. All the other stuff that was going on with, like, Eclipse and Polaris, I'm glad that was resolved quickly. I don't like that kind of interpersonal conflict based on, like, misunderstandings and, like, not enough information being communicated with each other. Like, it feels very forced, and I'm glad that was resolved quickly. The stuff with Blink and the girl and the little girl that she befriended, and then ultimately how that led to her sort of reconciling with Dreamer was cool. I really enjoyed that. Blink has like this subplot happening that's intriguing. You know, every time I find out more about it, like her past and like the tragedy now that's associated with it, like I'm liking it more and more. Even though as a character, Blink, I was in from the get go. You know, I was in before the show even started. Like I love Blink. I've loved Blink ever since she was introduced in Generation X, before she disappeared, and then she was reintroduced in the Age of Apocalypse right afterwards, in X-Men Alpha, which is right there, signed by Joe Mad and Steve Epting. But yeah, like just I'm intrigued by her just in general. But like I'm really liking that storyline that we're tracking with her, and I like that and that the resolution with Dreamer happened quickly, sooner rather than later. The stuff that was going on with respect to like figuring out what's going on with these drones, these like controlled mutants that the Doctor and Sentinel Services is placing out in the world to try to kind of get them to ultimately help kind of root out all the X-Men underground, all the mutant underground. Was cool. You know, I like that they identified this one mutant, the Speedster, who apparently was under the control, and I like that whole sequence at the beginning where she just like was taking all the mutants down. That was really cool. And then how they had her, and they were trying to figure out how to get more information out of her. And now they've introduced yet another character, which I'm liking. This like telepath girl that can like read minds if she's around people. I don't know who this is, but like I'm hoping it's somebody good. Rachel Summers, please. That'd be nice. But you know, whatever. Like they're expanding the character base, and that's just it's just making me more and more excited, because like it's very much an ensemble show, and the more characters they have, and the more it feels like they can handle it, the better overall like the effect of the show is. So super happy with all of that. Yeah, I just really like this episode overall. I'm just again, I'm kind of floored at like at the degree to which I like it, and the degree to which the story is kind of taking us into the world of the X-Men that's familiar, but in a way that's again interesting, new, different. As long as it's not like completely different. We're going to tell completely different stories that you don't know anything about, that has nothing to do with what you already know, just simply because like we want to create our own thing. It's like, no, you're not creating your own thing. You're translating a world that exists already into a different medium, but you have to honor the original source, or else you lose that connection, and you lose the built-in audience like myself, the fan people that are just like ready to support it and just like be very vocal about how good it is if it winds up being so. And unfortunately that is the case here, and so we have nothing to worry about. So this is episode 8. I don't exactly know how many more episodes are left, but like I'm really loving the show so far. It's definitely something completely different from Legion. Legion is not just a special show, but it's also a special show in terms of like X-Men lore and like well told and well acted and all that, but it's also like a work of art, because like the artistic direction was very specific, and it had a very particular point of view that you know, it was unlike most things that you've ever seen ever. Versus this show, it feels very grounded when we're not like kind of exploring the spectacle stuff. It feels like when we're doing the character stuff, it feels very normal, which is good because it has that nice contrast, and it also kind of sets it apart from Legion. You know, it's not exactly that other show. You know, they're different. They're completely different, and they're both successful, which is awesome. They're both successful at what they're doing, and so wow, now we have 2 good X-Men shows. I mean, how fucking crazy is that? It's amazing. I'm so excited about it. Anyway, that's my reaction to this latest episode. Really happy with what's going on. Really happy with finding out the sort of the importance of the twins, and like what that may ultimately lead to is, who knows? It's foreboding of like both a good and bad future for these characters. And so bring it. I want to see it. I want to see it play out. I want to see it unfold. Please don't let fucking Fox fuck this show up. Please let everything kind of go the way it's going, and continue going in that direction, because God, I mean, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that it even exists, given how much of a vacuum there was for so many years for anything X-Men related, that, you know, was respectful to the X-Men, you know, and really gave them the importance that they deserve. They deserve as much importance as the Avengers and everyone else and all these other characters that are blowing up because Marvel has, you know, the ability to do what they're doing in their cinematic universe. Like the X-Men have been probably, like, besides Spider-Man, like the signature Marvel characters for so long, and like, and because they've been thrown under the bus for the last like decade or so, like it's very refreshing to finally have, you know, the right amount of respect given to the characters, and allowing them to now, you know, have their own sort of space in this world that is saturated by superhero content. But as long as it's good, I don't think that's ever gonna go away. And so as long as the X-Men continue to have a nice sort of niche place within this world of variety of different shows of different companies providing different cinematic character universes that can be different and can be played in and everybody can enjoy depending on their tastes, then yay, you know what I'm saying? Yay! Alright, that's my little video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already done so, make sure you press that little button down there. That'll allow you to subscribe to me and keep up with other content. And as always, I want to remind you, if you haven't already, you better put an X in that box, ladies and gentlemen, because ain't nobody checking me. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.